Welcome to Mississippi State and the Floral Management Program. I'm Lynette McDougald, an instructor in that program and also the manager of the University Florist. We find ourselves today in the flower shop where we're going to be looking at the perfect dozen roses. With Valentine's on its way, we have a special offering of some California grown roses that we ship and we have always here available. We have also that will come with these sorts of things, or we always provide really clean vases. When we do our work here at the shop, this is how we start. We want a vase that's not soiled, and we're going to make certain that it's clean because that will add to the length of the life of our flowers. We're going to add some flower food that also adds to the length of the flowers. This is a manufactured food, and we find that to be the best thing to use. It's available at all flower shops and in some mass markets. And so I've mixed this with just tap water, and it's cool water because the pouring of it is going to agitate it enough that it will be just right and mixed. I'm going to steal just a little more from here to come up about 2/3 of the way in our container. Once we've done that, we're going to begin to inspect the flowers that are in our box. And we have leatherleaf fern that was grown in Florida, delivered right to our door. And I'm going to remove the rubber band. And I take my fern and collect it into my one hand, sort of in just a whirl. You see that the leatherleaf fern has some debris that's along the stem, and I like to just rub my hand down along it to remove that because we don't want to soil our water. We go all the way down, and it takes about 7 or 8 pieces of the fern, and you just make a little whirl just like a fern plant would be. Place it next to the vase, get the length, and then you see that I'm using a knife because a knife puts a good angled cut on the end of the plant material, which will allow for the most water uptake. Now let's get our roses out because that's what we're interested in, the perfect dozen. With Valentine's on its way, roses are very, very popular in the marketplace. These have been collected and placed in a little sleeve that's bound with a rubber band, but on the inside it has a piece of foam that's holding a lot of water. So that's how those are kept fresh in shipping. We're going to take our roses and we want to inspect each one of them as we go along. If there's any broken foliage, we're going to take that off and we're going to smooth up anything that might be at the base or any kind of foliage that might fall below the water line. So we're going to start by trimming just 1 inch away, again using a knife and pulling that, and I want to establish the center of my rose arrangement. And then I'll just radiate out from that. The red rose is absolutely the most popular rose for the Valentine season. We haven't been able to get red roses until just recently because the farms have been in the process of growing all of those that they'll need for the Valentine's market. As we put in our roses, we need to remember that we're going to need to add water to this container. And it being a clear container, it makes it very easy for us to see when our flowers need a little more of something to drink. Fresh flowers will take up a good amount of water, and you'll see that. The fresher the flower, the better the uptake's going to be, and that's something you want. So you just keep a few extra packages of the flower food around so you can feed those flowers as you go. I like to work on my kitchen turntable as I design. That way I get an even show all the way around. And this is just, they radiate out from the center, but be careful not to try to place everything dead into the center. It's better that you pull a few of the lines out to the edge as well. And we almost have our dozen. See, that one's going in very close to the lip of the vase. The foliage is so fresh and wonderful when we get in these roses that are grown in the States. They don't have to ship as far, and they're very fresh and very nice. Let's add just another touch of foliage here. This is an acacia, just to give it a little different texture. Just add a little extra. Foliages are becoming more and more popular to use as a filler. Many times we think about baby's breath or heather or waxflower, but in the case of this, we're just going to add a little touch of this acacia just to give it a little bit of a different kind of look. This has got a purple haze tint to it, little bitty seeds on the end, little berries. So it makes for a nice and soft texture, and you see how it just falls out. Lush, lush, lush. And then we're going to add a little bit of lily grass. This is something that we like at the flower shop. It just gives it somewhat of a natural feel. And we take several pieces together and cut them all at one time. And then we'll just put a whirl of those right into the top of the vase. And you see, I watch closely to know that everything is touching the water. We want to make certain that everything is where it will get a drink of water. You know, notice those rose stems went almost to the bottom of the vase for the most part of it, even the foliage. You want to do that. Don't cut. You can't put the stem back on. So measure up against the vase to see if you get the right proportion. And then I'm going to take just a little bit of ribbon. This is a wired ribbon, and wired ribbon is so easy to work with. And I'm going to take about 1.5 yards off and go around the neck of the vase. And I'm just going to do a shoestring bow. And all we're going to do with that is to just, like we tie our shoes. Very simple. And since it's a wired ribbon, it holds its shape so nicely. It doesn't take a lot to make a bow. And then just a little extra embellishment. Beads. We have some acrylic beads. And we're going to just take those and wind them around just to give it a little bit of extra shine and glamour, a little bit of fun. I hope these tips have helped you in your preparing to design flowers, roses, whatever it might be, and that it also gives you some tips on how to keep those flowers that you will receive for Valentine's longer. So happy designing to you, and happy Valentine's Day from Mississippi State and the University Florist and Floral Management.